Hi, welcome to Orbit at a Tilt. I'm your host, Adam Tilted, and today we're going to talk about the constellation Taurus. This is going to be the first in a series of episodes I do on the Winter Constellations. Those are some of my favorite constellations because they are easy to see, they're easy to find, and they have interesting stories behind them. Well, let's take a look at Taurus. This is looking at the east just after sunset. Well, this is about 7 o'clock. This is in Houston, so might be slightly different where you are, but if you are in the United States, it'll be pretty much the same. And if you look at the stars here, you'll see a couple of bright ones. The first one I want you to notice is this one here. This is Aldebaran. It's a bright orange star. It will be rising in the east and it will continue to be up all night long. That is the eye of Taurus the bull. So there is Aldebaran. That's the eye. And here is the rest of Taurus. You notice Taurus is only half of a bull. There are a lot of interesting things in Taurus. Aldebaran is dying. It is a red giant star that has used up most of its supply of hydrogen. It is 44 times bigger than our sun, but is only slightly more massive. It's puffed out, so it's bigger than our sun, but it only has just a little bit more stuff in it. Another interesting thing about Taurus is that it is near the star cluster Pleiades. This is also known as the Seven Sisters. Depending on how dark your skies are and how good your visibility is, you may be able to see up to 6 or 7 stars in this cluster, but there are thousands. There's over 1,000 stars in that cluster. Pleiades star cluster is just one of the star clusters in Taurus. There's another one here in the head of Taurus. It's called the Hyades star cluster. I took some pictures of the Pleiades. This is an image that I took of Pleiades. You can see all of these stars are all clustered together. It's basically a star nursery where the stars are not very old. They're about 100 million years old. That's pretty young for a star. So they burn bright blue, and over the course of the next 250 million years or so, they will drift apart. So right now they're being held together in this cluster by gravity, but gradually they will disperse. This is a wide-angle view from the Canary Islands. Now this is the Crab Nebula. The Crab Nebula is really cool. Now I took this picture from a telescope in Chile. You can't really see like the brilliance of, obviously this is not as good as what you'd see with the Hubble telescope. But the Crab Nebula is beautiful. It is the remnants of a supernova. A giant star exploded and threw a bunch of material out into space. And then at the core remained a pulsar. That pulsar actually collapsed in on itself and became a neutron star. And we'll talk about what neutron stars and pulsar stars are in another episode. But the thing you should know about a neutron star is that it emits high energy radiation and it spins 30 times a second. Now we're talking about something huge. Now it's not as big as a normal star, and even if it's as small as the Earth, imagine spinning 30 times a second. That's fast. So we can detect that spinning. What is interesting is that all over the world, different cultures have their own mythologies and their own stories about what they could see when they looked at the stars in the night sky. Almost all of them saw this as a bull or a cow. which is interesting. And I'm not really sure why. Now, of course, because of light pollution, we can't see all of the stars that make up this constellation when we look at it. So maybe it did look more like a cow or a bull at some point. But I found that interesting. The story the Greeks told is that Taurus was Zeus in disguise as a bull, and he was attempting to seduce one of these sisters that is in this star cluster, one of these Hyades star clusters. And then there's also the Pleiades up here that are trying to get away from Taurus. Our intrepid hunter Orion is coming to the rescue. And next week we're going to talk about Orion, which is probably the easiest constellation to find and one of my favorites. Couple of sky watching tips. The Geminid meteor shower peaks tonight. It's not an especially amazing meteor shower, but if you're up and you have clear skies, take a look. Just look up at the sky anywhere. Will look like they're coming from Gemini, but it really doesn't matter because you'll see them streak across the sky wherever you're looking. And tomorrow morning, there's an interesting alignment before the sun comes up. So this is at 6 o'clock. The moon and Jupiter will be very close to each other, and Mars will be just above. And then Spica, which is part of Virgo, will be above that. Should be an interesting alignment if you're up before the sun and you have clear skies. I don't know if I'll be up before the sun. We'll see. As always, thank you for stopping by and chatting with me about Taurus. If you want to ask a question, drop it in the comments. If you have ideas for a future show, either drop it in the comments, let me know. I look forward to talking about these winter constellations because they're fun. As I said, they are a lot of fun because they're easy to find, hyperjetty, and they have interesting stories behind them. Don't forget, after the sun goes down, take a look to the east and see if you can find Aldebaran and Taurus the bull. I will see you next week. In the meantime, keep looking up.